What is up, guys? It's Verns back again with another Supercoach video. This time it is going to be just an AFL, bit of a chit chat, early season talk. We'll go through sort of how my team's looking at the moment. I know I haven't gotten a video out. I'm not expecting many people to watch the NBL video out, but for those that didn't know, my job basically ended yesterday, so I was going to have some time off. Ended up finding a new position. I've got about a week off, so I planned on really trying to get all these videos out then, but just, yeah, I had the time now, so I thought I'd jump into it, go through my thoughts so far. Seen most of the preseason stuff, haven't seen Adelaide Port yet, and I've prioritized the games that aren't open round games. I haven't watched the Sydney GWS game, and I watched half of the Collingwood Brisbane, and then once again, they're just not the main priority of teams that I want to watch. I want to watch the teams that we're not going to get the open round look at, because the open round is going to give us more information than we need. Obviously, we've got the Amy series stuff coming up, so really excited for that stuff. But yeah, just thought I would talk about what I'm thinking and how we're going to go here. But since you are here, I appreciate all you for tuning in, for liking, subscribing, just even viewing the video, and the consistent injection of Supercoach content you'll get into your YouTube feed by being here. So we also have my Twitter that should be down below. Go ahead, follow along. Not too much I add there, really just comment on other people's stuff, and just do my video, put my videos there when they come up. Definitely feel free to DM me there as well, though I do have a bit of chit chat going with plenty of other podcasters, which is really nice and really good to be involved in. So yeah, let's jump into, I guess, what I'm thinking. So there was plenty of things we did and we talked about last year, and then we just didn't implement them. And that was the really, really disappointing thing, I think, of last season. Just so many things we just didn't implement. We talked about not picking up early buy the guys that had the early buys unless they had value on top of their head, and there was classic examples like Flanders and stuff like that spent a lot of time in my early season team, and then just one thing led to another. I ended up basically dodging everyone, which to a degree was good, but also bad. There was ups and downs. There was wins and losses for that. You didn't start Nick Dacos, win. You didn't start Flanders, loss. You prioritize maybe a Sheasel over a Lockie Whitfield, that's a win there. You didn't start Tom Green, ended up being a pretty big loss. You brought Tom Green in halfway through the season, it was an even bigger loss. You captained him for 5, it was an even bigger loss. There was a few things that went really wrong last season, and it sucked. But look, outside of those, irrevertible or just unavoidable situations, sorry, is what I'm looking at. Captaining Tom Green for a 5, that is what it is. There was nothing wrong with the logic to the play. There was a lot of people on that, and he got injured. It is what it is. It happens. But there was plenty of other stuff I did that I could have controlled. I think I've already talked to death about this, but I wasted boosts early. I did too many sidewards with premiums and stuff like that. I think I talked about being solid with trades. I didn't care that we had all these extra trades. I wanted to hold on to them, be patient, use the boosts to help upgrade, and I just didn't do that. I basically went ahead and I burnt them early, and I sideward a lot of premiums, and then those premiums would bounce back, and the ones I brought in didn't really do much better, so really just wasted trades for the sake of wasting trades, unfortunately. So yeah, just played it really poorly. And I think that's going to be the goal this season. Just, you come in, you don't basically trade after round 1. Yes, you'll have open round guys that are getting a price rise in round 2, so it's hard to not, but I want to try and at least not burn a boost. Obviously, that does come down to how badly you messed up the team and injuries and things like that do happen after the first round, but I would like to try and not burn a boost round 1. I don't mind burning a boost round 2, because that's the last chance you're going to get before all the teams have their price rises. And then just basically hold them. Hold 4 for the mid-seasons, upgrades, try and get the upgrades out with them, try and hit a earlier premium team. And we did talk about last year as well. We talked about we wanted to play guns and rookies. It's a year for guns and rookies. And then what did I do? I stacked my team full of mid prices, and then even worse, I bailed on the mid prices as soon as something went wrong, really early on, and it just wasn't right. It just wasn't the right plays. It was stupid things. And I think Chris mentioned this earlier in the year of last year. He said, he's like, guys, what are we doing? We're chasing points. We need to pick up players with roles. If they have a good role, keep the player. It doesn't make sense. And that's what I was doing. I was blowing up people that had good roles because they had a bad performance, and it was just stupid. It was just bad. It was just incorrect. So this year, yeah, it's about being strong with that. It's about picking these guys with the right roles, it's about holding faith with them. And even if you hold your faith, like say you bring in a guy with 400k and maybe they're only playing at a 450k price tag or around that price tag, yeah, we want to be getting money out of everyone, but it's also not detrimental. We have this person on field over a rookie. What am I going to do with that person? Downgrade them to a rookie? Maybe sideways them to another speculative mid-pricer? Like, unless you're really upgrading to a premium, unless you're like two mid-prices that really just failed and you're like, okay, there's a great rookie I missed, let's go down to a rookie with one of them and go up to a premium with another. Like, that makes sense. But you just got like one dead mid-pricer, don't have enough money to go up. You can only really go down with it or sideways. Like, why would you sideways to another speculative mid-pricer? If you go down, you're going to be holding a lot of money and technically keeping the premium that's like playing at 450k, playing at 400k. It's still going to be better than those rookies. They might be going at this 80 average, but what, I'm going to downgrade to a rookie going into 60 average just to make more money, and then what, hold 300k till upgrades? Like, yeah, I don't know. I think I should be sticking more faith into this early season team. We do all this preseason work and then we blew it up way too quickly, and in reality, if we just held the faith with a lot of these players, we did well. And I'm sure it's already been discussed enough, but for those that didn't trade out like Hayden Young or waste a trade on Nick Martin, putting him out, bringing him back in, doing stupid shit like that, those were the guys that were at the pointy end at the end of the season, because those guys bounced back, and while we were doing stupid stuff, they were fixing up rookies and making better moves and upgrading because they didn't waste their trades. Yeah, so I just got to be thinking about that going into this year. I think the same rules apply. Let's just actually stick to them. At the end of the day, it does suit guns and rookies better. Saying that, the way the game is, value is still so important. And if you can get guys that are performing 100k more than their price tag, that could be deemed more valuable than a rookie that's going to make you 150k. Let's just say we bring in this rookie that's 119k rookie, they play this 260 price tag, they make 150k. Well, I mean, what's that? That's like a 50 average. But rather than that, you have a mid-pricer, let's just say 300k, 350k, playing to a 400k value. You're getting this guy that's probably putting out like an 85. You're still making 100k. It's 50k less that you lost, but you made up 20-25 points around over it. So yeah, there's still definitely merit to it. I think with this, we're going to be like, if we're going for, we're not going to basically pick any premiums, I think, on the buys. That's just straight facts. If they're top end premiums, there's plenty of top end premiums that don't have buys. So you don't have to force them. Yes, you could go Nick Dacos, but you could also go Sarong, Butters, Bont. Like, there's plenty of other options. You don't need to force that. Where it comes interesting is when you get these guys that maybe have 100k on their head. Maybe they only have 50k on their head, but you know what? It's worth the upside to take the punt and see if they can push 100k, and then that extra money you're saving getting in a guy that's 400, 500k means you can put that on top of a rookie. Maybe you can get payout for these other rookies. Yeah, and that's definitely one of the other things that we've definitely noted. We knew coming into this draft for the 2025 year that the draft was midfield stacked. We knew that all the top draftees were midfielders, and it's just straight facts that they all are. And we've had other midfielders pop up as well that are at these rookie prices. And I love the discussion between, Dr. Supercoach, Pig, and JD, where they talked about, yeah, you have Sardis, who's technically 600k in fantasy because he's a mid-pricer, but in Supercoach we get him as a rookie. So, like, that's insane. If you can find a guy that debatably could be already a mid-pricer, just maybe hasn't had the opportunity or have had the injuries, or maybe has struggled to break into the team and something's changed, they've gotten a role change, they've broken into the team, they've had a massive preseason, then boom, we're still getting them at rookie prices. Like, let's get on top of those guys. So there's so much value in the midfield that maybe this is a little bit different to people, but I'm looking at more of a lot of rookies in the midfield, paying up close to 200k for a lot of those midfield rookies, because they're the ones that I think have the job security. They have the scoring potential. I don't want to bring in these speculative 119k rookies in forward or defense that then maybe get dropped, or they end up as a sub, or they score 20. Like, no, I don't want those guys. I want these guys that they feel like it's a 60 minimum almost out of them, and it does feel like they're definitely going to be playing. Sorry, if you are wondering why I keep looking right, I do have my team to my right. Obviously, it's not being shared with you guys kind of right now. But yeah, I guess that's just what I want, like what I sort of want to be focusing on when I'm building this team. I want the best rookies. I don't want these guys that are getting subbed out of the team. I want these guys that are... I'm happy to pay up for them and bring them on in. What that does mean, though, is if you're paying up for them, if I get 4 guys at 100, almost 200k, and you get 4 guys 119k, 80k per guy, 4 of them, that's extra 320k that you can put on someone to get an extra premium. You know, maybe you can split that over two of them, maybe end up with 2 mid prices instead. So because of that, I do think debatably the team I'm looking at, it has enough premiums in my eyes. It doesn't really have many mid prices, but it has a lot of high-end rookies, and I think I'm happy with that. I think that's okay by me. But yeah, I guess that's what I was looking at. I think there was one other thing I wanted to kind of go over, and now I have blanked on it. That's classic me. I don't write anything down, and I just try and spitball off the top of my head, and then I get halfway through and be like, I had another point, but I forgot what that point was going to be. But yeah, I do think mid prices are still valuable. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think I want to try and stick a bit more to the guns and rookies this year. I don't mind going for the mid prices where I have a lot of faith in them. So look, we'll get to the team that I'm looking at. We'll start it pretty simply in defense. At the end of last year, I made I think we put down 4 players that we have to start this season basically in the Supercoach Hub. We just named guys that it's like when next season starts, I'm picking them because it's not happening. For anyone that watched that, it was Flanders was one of those, but with his issues, I'm just going to leave him be at the moment. The next one, though, was Harry Sheezel, and I just don't see myself not starting with Harry Sheezel. This is just mental from him. Like 118, he's coming into another season where I just don't not see him being D1. I don't see him not being at least top 3. Like, I think at minimum, we're paying for what we're getting, and I'm happy to do that with the right premiums. I think there's some premiums where I think that's appropriate. And I think Sheezel's good enough that, hey, if he went to another level this year, you wouldn't be surprised. Like, you wouldn't sit there and be like, oh man, Sheezel did 123? Who could have seen that coming? You'd be like, yeah, that's kind of expected. He was really developing and growing and getting better and better as the year went on, and yep, that makes sense. Yep. So I think, yeah, Sheezel, I think at minimum, you're getting what you're paying for. And I think there's a little bit of upside on there. And maybe that's me overshooting it, but I really rate this kid. And not having him last year, I am not making that mistake again. I absolutely refuse to make that mistake again. The next pick, this is actually the hardest pick in the game, in my opinion. Your second defender premium. I have a very clear mind for who my 3rd and 4th are. But as I mentioned before, if I'm stacking my midfield full of rookies, where are my premiums? The answer is they have to be in the other roles. So if I'm putting premiums on other roles, I need a second big boy defender, and I'm really tossing it up at the moment. I haven't quite settled on one. There's one I'll put in here, but I'll just talk my thoughts through all of them. Like, obviously Flanders injured. Ryan didn't even play the practice game, and we saw he's back after the year. If they do start playing a bit more of that quicker ball movement style, then it is going to negatively impact him and you're paying overs. Whitfield is one where I don't actually think you're paying overs. I think you're paying a fair price for the man, but he has a buy. So you're going to pay a fair price for him. Why would you not pay for Sheezel or a few of these other guys around that don't have the buy? So Whitfield is one that I do honestly want. They also have St Kilda, I think, in round... Oh, when do they have St Kilda? Round 5? I mean, I can't just click on them. I don't know why I'm not just clicking on them, guys. But we know what defenders do against St Kilda. Yeah, round 5 against St Kilda. Oh, wait, that's 2024. Yeah, it's still round 5 though. It didn't change. Against St Kilda. I just don't know if I want to miss that. So that's the only problem. You don't start with Whitfield, you might miss that. He had a monopoly over kick-ins last year. Will they have that many kick-ins last year? I think GWS had the most behind scored against them in the year, so had the most kick-ins, and Whitfield being one of the highest kick-in takers at like 57%, means that's going to be hard to reciprocate. But if he continues to do those kind of numbers, it just feels like the floor is very high. And he's very good. So Whitfield's someone that I'm tossing up. Sinclair was obviously on the list, did the hammy, he's gone. Zorko I think is just a bit too old, and McGovern, I just don't think I'm going there this year. Houston, he's in a new team. I wouldn't mind giving him some time to gel to the Collingwood system. The system's very different. And I did think in that first half of the practice game, it kind of felt like he was in a bit of no man's land. And you did get that a little bit with Port last year, where sometimes he would just end up in between. He's in that quarterback role where he's waiting for the pass back to then move the team into attack. But the problem is when it gets kicked out at stoppage over his head, then he's not there to get involved. But he's also not at stoppage to get involved. So yeah, I don't know. I felt like in the practice game, the first half, I just didn't see him really do much, and there's definitely been times at Port that he's done that, and I don't know if that's Collingwood adapting to how to work best with Dan Houston, or Dan Houston adapting to work best with the Collingwood system. So I do think he might need some time to come online. I'm very excited to pick him later in the year, but just not someone I've picked yet. Nick Martin, he ends up at he's just not playing that quarterback role anymore. He's now up on the ball, playing kind of off the forward line. I don't know what he's doing. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with his role. Jordan Clark, this is the other one that's a really big interest to me. I think Clark is really good. He did 104. I think he also did better on the back half of the year when they did play that faster ball game. The ball went more through him than through Ryan, which if we jump down, we should be able to see at the end of this year. Yeah, just very consistent. Very consistent. He did have this 160 where I think he got tagged by Bedford, but very consistent from this point. He also had some really big ceiling games in there. Obviously, that's the only unfortunate thing. He does have that floor where he can go 60. I think he probably got tagged in the Sydney game too. I feel like they're a team that tag. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's quite good. He's obviously quite young, and I think he gets better every year. So kind of just hoping for that natural development. He was very poor in the Indigenous game, and I don't know if that's because without Luke Ryan there to help settle him and sort of be the senior body down back that controls the tempo, then I don't know if that's what's happened here. Obviously, Freo have a really good early run as well for this year, which is really nice. West Coast, Richmond, and then he has St Kilda in round 8, so definitely a team we want to be trying to get him in by then. But Richmond was also a team that gave up a lot of points to attacking defenders as well. Sydney early on, could they be tagging him? They definitely could. But yeah, a lot of Optus games to start, 3 in a row early on. So yeah, I would like to get Clark in, but I just don't know if I'm sold on him yet. Ridney, no. Newman, no. And then we have Holmes and Nass down here. Let's start with Holmes. Holmes was my boy last season. We started Holmes. He was a keeper all year for us. We picked him up at 440k in the midfield. He flipped to a defender premium, and we kept him all year long, and I loved it. He's now had another year to develop. He's playing a lot more on the ball, though, which I think is a good thing for him. And I feel like last year I did rant a bit how I was annoyed that there was so many situations where he's made a good kick to a pack and Geelong just got outmarked, and because of that it's now turnover by Holmes, that his team couldn't get it to ground. So I do think there's upside in that sense that, if Geelong just don't let him get punished, if they actually make contests, at those marking contests, there's an extra good 4 or 5 points you could get a game there. So I do think there is a bit of meat on the bone for Holmes. I do like him on the ball. They do have the bye early. They do have Smith coming in. They do have what's TDK maybe doing the ruck. They have a few changes they're going through at the moment, and I think I'm happy with Holmes where I'm not going to feel like I'm going to get priced out of him or anything like that. I'm happy to sit back, wait, so I kind of watch it unfold and see where he's at. And if I pick him up later on, then great, that's fine. Do I think much of the competition's going to have an advantage on me for starting him? Probably not. Maybe he made 40k for you, cool. But you know what? He also missed a bye game. So that could be a factor. Saying that, this year, I'm not as hung up on the bye games. I think, as we sort of saw last year, what happened obviously is, hey, you get 22 guys on field. This year we get 23. 18 of them end up scoring. Yeah, you missed a premium, but now your best rookie from those bottom 5 rookies score is going to count. And you'd have situations where you'd have Sanders score counting. And we had weeks where Sanders went 100. We had Colby McKercher go 100. We'd have Robertson go 100. And they would be doing better than our premiums as it was that we did have. And I'd be losing a premium score anyway because these guys outscored Nick Martin. So I lost his score. And it's well, what did it matter? My rookies were playing good enough. And I think that's something that maybe we could have this year. We have such a good crop where who cares if your premium's missing? We're getting rookies come in and cover for 80. Like, that's good enough. That's a premium on a bad day. That's fine. So I'm not as hard with missing and not picking premiums this year in those lines, and we will see that when I guess I go through the rest of the team. But my number 2 guy I've talked about a lot here. God, I'm rambling way too much about these guys here. It is Nas. It is going to be Nas who's here. Once again, I'm not too sure about this. Sinclair, we haven't seen too many games without Sinclair. Philippou down, does he play more on ball? I mean, Nas's natural development is massive. He went like 60 in his first season, 85 in his second season, and then like 100 in his third. Now he's at his 4th season. Like, good chance of natural progression, and just natural development. Also, watching him in that Indigenous game, he really is so good. He's so elite with the ball. He runs so fast. He got called for the travel, obviously, but like, he looked so good doing it. Like, I loved watching that actual Indigenous game. Like, they were so entertaining to watch, and I hope that comes back. I hope that's a thing we keep doing, because that was very, very entertaining. But yeah, Nas looked really good in that game, and maybe this is a wrong play by me. I'm kind of hoping a little bit for natural development. He's still playing an absolute elite role, but he doesn't quite get the kick-ins. He does get the kick-ins in reality. Bonner's obviously moved out of the team too. I think it's not that he doesn't get the kick-ins. He doesn't get the 1-2s that others get. We all know with Houston, you kick it out, run onto it. Bailey Dale, kick it out, run onto it. Roberts, kick it out, run onto it. He doesn't really do that. It's not too much on the 1-2. It's just an elite 50-meter kick to start with, and he hits a target. But yeah, I think Nas is really good, and I wouldn't mind bringing him in. He's also really tall that you just like misjudge that, so he can be a bit of an intercepting threat too in the right situation. So I like Nas a lot. Sicily, I liked what he was doing, but then I saw him float forward in this practice game for a little bit, and I was just like, no. Also, he's got the bye, so once again, if I have these guys that don't have the bye, and I like them, why would I not pick them? Dale. Now, this is going to be the last defender premium that I really talk about to a degree. Dale is the guy that's more or less been in my team until I found out he was managed. He didn't end up playing their practice game, and I was like, damn. And you guys might be thinking, Vern, why Dale? I'm sure lots of you had Dale last year. You got him cheap, and then he ended up being really bad on the back end of this year. He had, well, not even really bad, had a 70, 40, 70 out of the last 3, which sucked, but then 2 126s, so not even bad. Another 70 over here. I'm sure it sucked for you guys. But something to take into fact here is he got subbed on a 12. I forgot if that was a concussion energy, but he got subbed on a 12. He has a 12 factored into his, like, price, meaning his 98 isn't even appropriate. Once you take out this 12 from his cycle, he actually bumps up to like a 101 or something. Okay, so there's already natural meat on the bone because he's underpriced from that 12. He then had 2 40-point games, which I don't know exactly why those were the case. This is where it's a little bit of speculation for me. Why did he have 40-point games? Did he get tagged in these games? Was he just really, really bad in these games? I don't know. I mean, he got the 47 and then he got subbed on the 12. Was that... There's a correlation there where he was just being bad? I don't know the answer to that, unfortunately. But then we see the ceiling against St. Kilda, and we know what he can do. We see these 130s. We know he's got a massive ceiling. If he can just get these 40s out of his games, yes, these 90s and 80s don't look great, but you remove these 2 40s and the 12, and I know, like, obviously, if you remove any player's bad scores, they look way better. But his average ends up at about 107. So I do think, hey, if he increases the floor of these 40s, if he doesn't have this 12, 105 is actually really realistic for him, and maybe we're getting him as an underpriced player, so we're getting him nice and cheap for a premium, and you always want players that are undervalued, you know, getting point per dollar, and I'm happy with that. So Dale's been in the team, but then just because he hasn't played this practice game, he's been on managed minutes, I just don't know what's happening. So unfortunately, I've moved Dale out because I'm just not too sure where he's at. They also have St. Kilda, I think, round 6. So after Nas has them in round... Sorry, Whitfield has them in round 5. Yeah, has them round 6. So, I mean, he could always be the first upgrade target if he's travelling well, looking good, he's got St. Kilda at the right time. Boom, jump on Dale. The only problem there is obviously a lot of round 12 premiums we talk about, with obviously we have North Melbourne, we have, I think, Port, we have Bulldogs, and then I think maybe Carlton's the other one. But there's those 3 teams, the first 3 I named, like that's big players. People are picking Horn Frosters, they're picking Butters, they're picking Rosie, they're picking those guys in those teams. So it's really hard to, I think it'll be hard to navigate that buy, and I don't know if I'm going to throw myself into the fire by picking more guys on that buy. At the same time though, I think I need to take into account is the best season I ever had in AFL Supercoach. I picked my team and I didn't look at the buys. I didn't look at the buys. I didn't care what the buys were. I don't care about the buys. I'm picking the players I like, and we'll just deal with it when we get to the buys. And I had the best year I've ever had. I finished 317, and my team was fantastic. And I remember DR doing a one-on-one with last year's winner, which was once again a really, really good video to watch. And he talked a lot about like his strategy, and he comes from that AFL fantasy background. And one of those things where he mentioned, because DR brought that up to him, oh, you have so many guys on the round 12 bye, are you scared of that? And he's like, it'll work itself out by round 12, I don't worry about the middle buys. Okay, well, from my experience, when I didn't worry about them, I went really well. This guy doesn't worry about them, and he won. So maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I need to not care about them and just pick the best players. And I'm sure I'll get 18 guys on field, put up a reasonable enough score, and then have 4 other really good buy rounds. I forget how many buy rounds there are now, but the rest of the buy rounds are really good, because I've got the best players. So definitely something to keep into account. Now moving down to the next guy in my team. Yeah, I know I'm talking a lot, guys, but this is just what happens when you haven't done a video all preseason. Rather than breaking it into like 7 different videos, you rant it all out in one. The next guy is Matt Roberts, which I think, as I said, I didn't watch the Sydney GWS game, but in my eyes, it's just the most obvious pick of the year. Like, we saw him move into this halfback role, and look at these final 7 games. Basically, yeah, we have the 36 here, but from round 18 onwards, he had the low score of 85, he had a high score of 161. He went at 111 for these last 7 games. That's elite. This guy is priced at 80, and he's priced at 80 because he has a sub game of 5 in there. He has games of 27 in there. This guy didn't not have the ability. He just has these games where he's been subbed or injuries or things went wrong, and it's tanked his price, and he's still got an 80 average. I think Robertson is, assuming he's playing the role, my understanding is that he's got the role, Cox loves him, and it's going to be easy. I think at minimum he's got 100k meat on the bone, which, as I said, I don't care if you've got a buy. If you've got 100k of upside on you with a buy, I'm picking you up. I think 90 is almost guaranteed. That might be overshooting it, but I think we saw that 111 in the last 7 games. He has the potential. I think this kid could generally be contesting top 10 defenders. So when we're getting him at such a discount, why are we not picking him? It just, yeah, I'm sure everyone has him. I say everyone has him. He's at 5% owned. I think he's the most easiest pick in the game, but that's personal opinion. We'll see him round 0. I'm sure his numbers will inflate after that. Yeah, very easy in my opinion. Humphrey did actually really good things in the Indigenous game, but I'm not going to pay that kind of money for him, so cool. If he picks it together later on and ends up like a top 6 defender, we'll worry about it then. Perryman, he did okay. It wasn't like mind-boggling, but he was okay. Once again, we'll see him in open round, so we get a better look at him and what he does. But he's at the nice cheap price where I do think he could have 100k on him, because we've seen how good Perryman is with the right role. But it's very different in the Collingwood system, so yeah, I'd like to see him in open round, and I'll make the call then. And that might be a bad thing. I hate making a call off one game, but it's not the one game that's the problem. It's like, oh my god, he had a great score. If he comes through and gets 90, but has the role, that might just be good enough for me. That might be good enough. If you got the role, it's going to be more important than what you actually score. So yeah, definitely someone that's on my watch list. The next one we're going to jump to, very obvious, Callum Mills. We're not going to talk too much about that. Yep, very brain dead, very easy, underpriced. Then we're going to drop down. Now this is the one that I need to consider, because I'm watching the Port Adelaide game at the moment. I'm only like halfway through the first quarter, and yeah, I was doing stuff while watching it, so yeah, but I didn't see Sin really do much. I don't even see him with the role, and if he is in this game, I just haven't seen him. At the moment, I've got him in my team really as just like if he gets the role, it's a role where you're going to score Supercoach points. So I've had him there just because I'd rather pay up and have a team that has Sin in it rather than have a team that doesn't have Sin in it. And then it's like, we see the practice games, he has the role, and it's like, okay, we need to put Sin in our team. All of a sudden, I've got to pay an extra 80k on one of my rookies to get Sin in, and then I need to find the 80k elsewhere, and then all of a sudden you start breaking your structure. I'd much rather pay up for guys that it's like, they potentially have the role. If they don't, I can always just go down to someone, and put more money in my pocket, maybe play around with other guys here or there, maybe not be afraid to be like, well, I do really like Whitfield, and with this extra 80k I've put in my pocket and sitting with 150k to start the season, why not just start Whitfield over Nash? I feel a lot more confident in him being a top 6 by the end of the year, so yeah. Yeah, then we're just going to jump down. This is pretty straightforward here. I don't know too much about this rookie. Didn't see too much of... I don't think I've seen really anything of him, because I don't think I've seen a St Kilda game yet. I think St Kilda reversing Carlton right now, because it's 11 a.m. that they start that game, so I'll figure that out, but obviously high draft pick, so we're just picking him up. I think I've heard good things. Bill Allen, pretty obviously there, and then it's Zach Reed, who... yeah, injury prone, but it's low risk in my opinion. When you're that cheap, it's low risk. As long as you got the job security, who cares? We will jump to the midfield. Now, midfield, there's so many good guys here. So many good players. I'm just going to be honest. I have Butters in the team, but I've got him sitting down in my flex position because I have so much. I want all the rookies. And I think it's better to actually have a premium in your flex position. This might sound weird to people, but it's better to put a premium in the flex position from whatever role they were meant to be in, because you don't have an emergency. You got to keep that in mind. If this player doesn't play, the emergency doesn't cover. If you have a rookie that for some reason they don't play, or they're not named, or something ends up happening and they don't play, which I think it's more likely to happen with a rookie than one of your premiums, then you've got an emergency to cover. So I'd much rather have a premium down there that I'm confident is going to be playing. One I don't have to think about, one I can kind of set and forget down there. And then when I adjust the team later on, or upgrade later on, then I can flip them around, move them around, get them into the right position. But for now, they're just going to be sitting down there. Just purely for the fact that I'm just going to put them there. Let's go. Butters is there. Just because, yeah, we don't have an emergency, so I want them there. Butters has Richmond round 2, easy captain option. Just makes sense to me. Nothing wrong with Bont, but I just think... yeah, I'm happy with Bont as a pick as well, but yeah, the extra 40k... I don't know, I really like Butters. I think I could be happy to maybe try and get Bont a little bit later. I don't think it really dropped too much in price, but you do need to get someone after the round 12 buy, and do have a lot of the premiums from that round, so I mean, Bont could be the target there. Dacos did really well for us on the half, but like there's other good players around. Sarong was amazing in this amazing in the Indigenous game, but he's already been on my team. I was already very big on Sarong, and then he was amazing in this game. He went and honestly sat a lot of time full forward, and he just sat there just because of practice team the game to give a lot of the team the run, but he was still even good down there and got opportunities to kick goals and did well. And in reality, if Sarong was to, let's just say, have 98% time on ground. I don't know what his time on ground is currently, but I don't think it's up there. Let's say he does 98% time on ground, because instead of coming to the bench, he goes to the forward line, has a spell down there. That seems like a win to me. We saw how good he was down there. He was against Stephen May, and he was still plucking things. Like, he could go down there, even if it's for 10% of the game, to rest rather than go for the bench, meaning he ends up with an extra, let's just say, 3% game time or something. Sorry, 3%, extra like 7% game time. Sorry, I went the reverse there. So he spends 10% down in the forward line instead of the bench. He ends up with like 7% extra game time, and because of that, he's able to maybe score a goal, maybe get an extra 2 possessions, just be more lively. I don't even have a problem with that. But yeah, he just looks so damn good, and I was like, yep, I want Sarong. I know he's the obvious tag target, but I think that's something they probably should have been working on for you. I obviously don't know that, but I feel like it was very obvious last season Strong's going to get tagged. Hopefully you spent the off-season working with him to fight through those tags, and working with the team of how to assist him through those tags, not just leaving him to the wolves. But yeah, plenty of good picks here, but Merritt's got to buy, Dunkley's got to buy. I'm not picking Cripps. We already talked about Sinclair. Brayshaw I think is really good, and I think you'll pick one of Sarong or Brayshaw, and I've decided to go for Sarong. Nothing wrong with LDU, but I already have a lot of North players, and I don't know how many North players I can put in there. Steele, I've heard good things about his preseason in reality, but he is on the older end, and I'd like to look at these younger players that maybe have more upside, because he's already priced very expensive, and he is really good, so I don't, it still is what he still is. If he ends up being really good with him and Jack McRae synergize, and they're able to make, a McRae and Dunkley sort of thing where they're both going at like 115 plus, then hell yeah, sign me the hell up for that. But just like I'd rather sit back and wait and watch. And that's sort of what it is with a lot of these premiums. I'd much rather sit back, wait, see which ones are the best premiums, and bring them on in. No rush at this time. So I've actually jumped all the way down to Will Day, who was incredible in the preseason game. Someone I always rated, someone that I didn't have last year, but the year before I was big on getting in. He's looking really good. I think he's 100k, potentially underpriced. Even if he's only 50k underpriced, like it means that I think he could match those guys. I think you can match someone like a Steele. I think you can match the guys that we're paying 584, but we save 100k on him roughly, and then that money helps bolster the rest of the team. That's maybe the extra 100k that I'm able to put onto a Sin rather than putting on like a different 119k defender rookie. I have heard more defender rookies have popped up though in these preseason games. I don't know all the names and I haven't done all the stats of things, but I've seen more people adding defender rookies. I do know in the Geelong game we had the guy, I forgot who he was. It was a defender rookie in the Geelong game. That was doing okay. Once again, though, we'll have open round to like reassess him and see if he's actually got the position and if he's actually, if it's a good enough role. I think he played pretty key position though, so I don't know if that's too relevant. But yeah, just things like that. So yeah, happy to lock in Day. We're obviously going to lock in Clary. We're not silly. Don't need to talk the bone off that one. Chera is one that I consider someone that I do rate and I do have in draft leagues because I picked him up. Well, I picked him up in like our 10-year keeper we got last year because I rate him. And we've seen periods of time where Chera, like 2 years ago, was basically like a top 6 midfielder for the first half of the year before he got injured. If we jump back to, I think, 2023 it would have been. Yeah, I think he's wearing is on this tear, and he had the tear down here. Yeah, tear over here, and there we go. Then he gets injured around here, but he's basically up on like that 111 average, really, really good average. And what's he priced at now? He's now priced at priced down on 80. So, is there 30 points of upside? Probably not, but is there 20? Yeah. I wouldn't see why there's not 20 points of upside on them. So Chera's one I am interested in, and one that I will consider. But yeah, I've gone a little bit thick on the rookies here, so there's almost no point in me looking at these guys. Ashcroft obviously looked really good. We'll see the preseason game for him. I could see myself diving into Ashcroft. This is where I get scared. This is where I want to stick to this guns and rookies thing that I'm sort of going for. But we do have... I think this is the best year for mid-prices we've ever had. Like, full stop. Best year for mid-prices ever. And a lot of them, they're not unproven guys. They're injured guys that we've seen go at these massive scores before. We've seen Mills do a massive score. Yes, Roberts is a little bit unproven, but obviously Clary isn't unproven. I think Day's a little bit unproven, but also not. Ashcroft's a little bit unproven, but at the same time, I think there's just... Yeah, obviously he's been injured. He's been stunted. But we know what this kid can do. Same with Chera and things like that. He's obviously a fallen premium. So... I think we're all honestly spoiled for mid-priced options, and I do get scared maybe I end up cutting some of these higher-end guys and get more mid-prices and maybe try... I don't know if that's going to work. That might be a disaster waiting to happen. I do think you have to have some sort of keepers. I remember, once again, DR's chat, the guy that won it, he only kept 5 guys through the year. So I think you still want to aim to have those keepers. I think maybe at minimum 8. At absolute minimum, because you got to plan for, hey, what if 3 of those guys that I planned on keeping get injured, sort of thing. So, and even then, yeah, I think we can probably get away with it. So yeah, I think 8 is at least the minimum I probably want. Maybe push it to 7, but I would like to try and keep 8. And then I wouldn't mind, if you do go mid-pricer heavy, you can. And I think I want to play around with these mid-pricer teams and see how they look. But then, yeah, I'll fall into the trap like I did last year where my team's so mid-pricer heavy and then I panic. But yeah, it's also just holding your nerve with those mid-pricers. You got to hold your nerve. You can't just give up after game 1. But yeah, we're jumping all the way down here because, yeah, we're going all the way down to the rookies at this stage, and we're going O'Driscoll, incredible in the preseason game. Someone I actually once again have in our 10-year keeper league because I drafted him last year because I generally rate him as a talent. He was obviously really good in his debut year, and I just generally rated him, so I grabbed him as a keeper with hopeful development. But then he's already shown in the preseason game, and as even in his rookie year that we had him, he's a guy that can honestly go at 80. I'm not even expecting 80 from him, but if he can even go 65, it's still bang for your buck. It's still worth it. I think he looks like he's gonna have good job security. He looked like he definitely played himself into a role in that preseason game. So yeah, locking him in there. Jager Smith was good. Ed Allens was all right. Someone I'm also kind of considering. Someone I've had in and out of the team because it's just there's too many. There's just I don't want to pick too many of these guys. Sardis was incredible in their preseason game. I doubt he's going to get all those CBAs, but if he has the security and even if he ends up with half the amount of CBAs, it's probably just good enough, Levi Ascroft, obviously such good reps on him. Langford has really good reps, and that's where you got to toss it up. Like, oh, do I go Ned Ellen or do I go at Langford? I don't really know. But I've just sort of locked him in there. And that's, once again, we've got 5 really expensive rookies there taking up the midfield. This is where I do get a little bit cheaper, though, and honestly where maybe I could pay up on some of these guys. So we have Mitch Nevitt. He was incredible. I say incredible. He was really good. I thought he was good enough, and I think he seems like a very obvious rookie for us. So I'm going to lock him on in. And then we end up with like Cacao and Hawaii. I'm just going to call him Hawaii. Who are the guys that sort of fill out my rookie spots here at the moment. Now, the thing that I like about this is it adds that DPP flexibility. We can then swing him around with the guys in the defense line to help cover in these bye rounds. We can also swing Hawaii with the forward line. Sorry, we can Cacao with the forward line guys to help with these bye rounds as well. So I like that flexibility that it adds. But with the way that my team ends up, I do have that bit of extra money where I could move one of them up to like an Ed Allen's instead, sort of thing. So if that ends up a thing, or a Finn O'Sullivan if he ends up being someone that we want. So yeah, I think just once again, there's so many good high price rookie guys. I don't know if I want to pay up for a lot of those high price guys on my bench though. But I would much rather pay up for a high price guy on the bench that's gonna make money than get a rookie that they either don't make money, they end up they end up a dead rookie. Like, I'd much rather pay up and just get guys with the job security. Now in the Rucks, I'm just going bang, bang. Set and forget, baby. That simple. First of all, Gawn has Briggs in like round 1. So I think he's just a straight up captain option in round 1. Briggs is not a defensive ruck. He's always given up massive points, and I think Gawn's just got him in round 1. So yeah, sign me up for that. Cherry obviously isn't an easy ruck, but at the same time, Tap Rourke isn't his strength. North, I think Melbourne win this game, so I think Gawn could do well again. It's one of those things where I think maybe I'm overshooting it, but there's a lot of question marks around a lot of the other rucks, and I feel like every year I get caught up doing dumb shit in my ruck line. And you know what? Stuff it. Let's just set and forget it. Put the best guys in. Am I paying probably just a fair price for them? Am I paying overs for them? Yeah, I might be. Am I confident Cherry's going to be a top 3 ruck? Yeah. Am I confident Gawn's probably going to be a top 4 ruck? Yeah. I'm pretty confident that they're going to be up there. So I'm not losing out too much at the end of the day. Plus, last year, we all know I didn't have Gawn, and I got absolutely bloody torched all year, and I bloody hated my life, and I'm so sad about it. But there's nothing I've heard that sounds like Gawn's going backwards. Yeah, he's older, where he might, on the back end of the year, that's where he might fall off, and he's a bit more injury-prone, and that's what we sort of saw here. He was incredible to start the year, and then towards the end, he sort of fell off a bit with these, 114, 100s, 70s, 90s, but then he also had the 140 and the 177, so he still had the ceiling in him in the right case. So I think with someone that has a ceiling that high, I'm going to take the punt. I'm going to take the punt. I like the captain options that we get from him, and it makes me feel safe. We have him as a captain option for round 1, Butters for a captain option round 2. Something that you got to definitely lock in is who are the captain options you've got each and every week, and I like them. Number 2, it is just Harry Boyd at this stage. Yeah, my understanding is Marshall's out injured, so hopefully he comes in, he can make a little bit of money, and then if he ends up getting segregated to like splitting with Marshall, that's fine as long as he's playing. If he ends up losing his position, then that's a little frustrating, but we'll figure that out. Now we'll jump down to the forward line, which is the most straightforward line there is. Horne-Francis looking incredible. Even at the start of this Port game, he's already done some good work. He's looking like he's got the CBAs. We know in the Indigenous game, absolutely crushed. Same with Rankin, he did also crush in that game too. And someone else that maybe I'm thinking, do I put money into maybe a forward like Rankin rather than maybe defender like Nass? But I think also Rankin's someone I can probably sit back and be patient with. I don't think I have to rush into him. They do have a pretty good run early of winnable games. I definitely think winnable. I mean, these are technically at home, so as much as they're harder games, I think when you play at home, it's definitely winnable. A lot of good Adelaide games, yeah. Could see him being really good, so Rankin's definitely not one that I am obliged to not getting either. But we're just going to keep it nice and simple for now. For now, it's just McRae, Smith, where's my boy Luke Parker? I've had Luke Parker in my team from the start. You guys would know that if you watch my first team reveal, because I like Luke Parker. He's always been good to me and good in my draft leagues and really liked him, and sucked he didn't get the opportunity last year, but really good for us in Supercoach because now we're getting a really, really, really cheap Luke Parker in our forward line, which is great because, yeah, I think at minimum he's got 100k to make and he has the potential of being a keeper, so awesome. I think it's just a big win. Daniel speaks for himself. I think Hewitt's the guy I've actually put in field at the moment because he just looks good and I think he can score on field. Barry's already done a few things at the start of this game, which is nice, and then Davison from Dogs looked really good in their game too, and I think someone that is definitely going to get a gig and I think can definitely score. So that's sort of how the team's looking at the moment. I've rambled on a lot and I've talked a lot of shit, and you probably already heard a lot of shit from a lot of other players and a lot of other content creators. But yeah, I hadn't really done a video myself, and I just wanted to get one out. As I said, sort of try and talk a lot about philosophy stuff, like what are my plans and what are my goals, what are my strategies coming in, rather than the players. And I guess just my thoughts coming into this. I know people are big on Erasmus. He's not someone that impressed me in the Indigenous game personally, but that's fine. Everyone has their own takes, and that's something you got to take into account. You'll see some people give you different information when they put information up online. I think Scobie said he was happy with what Erasmus did, but personally I thought he was very underwhelming. And it's at different perspectives. Some person might say that they think he was good, and some say he's bad, and then you don't know what to believe. Or you saw news that he was good, and then he wasn't good on game day, and it's like, bro, what the hell? Or vice versa. You heard me say he's bad, so you didn't pick him, and then he blows up in the actual season, and you're like, how do we miss this rookie? Come on, man. So, you gotta listen to everything. Like, as much as you listen to everything, you really gotta just go do the eye test yourself. And if you don't want to do that, then yeah, you're playing off other people's, what they're thinking and their train of thoughts. It might be different to yours. It might be a different opinion to what you would have if you actually watch the games yourself. So yeah, I'd always be a big advocate for go watch the games yourself and go get a good idea of it. I'm going to be honest, I'm probably going to go read some notes over the games for the open round teams that I don't really have as much time to watch. But yeah, as I said, I have this week off, so I don't know. Maybe I will end up having time to watch all those games and go back and watch them in my dead time. But for now, yeah, they're going to be the teams or the games that are less priority to me. So I'm going to worry about those at a later date. And if I don't have time for them at a later date, then I'll probably just go read up. But once again, have open round to reassess. But yeah, I guess that's how the team looks. Once again, I'm happy with it. If we count what are these like keepers or premiums, I think we're going to count Roberts in that because at that price tag, you got to count them. So 3 there. We have 3 here, so 6, 2, 8. Horne-Francis 9, and then Butters is 10. So we have 10 debatable premiums or keepers, but I think also McRae could easily fall into the keeper category. So could Smith, Parker, Daniel. There's 4 there. I don't think Mills will. I honestly think that's unlikely. So I mean, technically on a keeper base, I could have like 14 potential keepers, not just 10. And then that leaves a bit more room for, it's like, well, if I have that many keepers, I maybe could go a bit more risky with more mid-price guys. If there are more defender rookies than I was giving it credit for, maybe I can afford to go Nas down to a defender rookie. I mean, technically I could just do that now. I could go Nas down, move Hawaii up, and then bring in a mid-pricer like Chera. Or Ashcroft in the midfield sort of thing. So I definitely have that flexibility to do that sort of thing. I don't know if I want to do that. I think I want to stay towards more of this guns and rookies sort of approach. But the other thing to keep into account is obviously the mid-seasons buys start in round 12. So we have 11 matches before then, and we have, 3 buys, meaning you have 8 games where they're not buy round games, meaning 8 games where it's going to be better to be mid-price heavy than rookie heavy. But as I said, if the rookies are good enough to almost contest the mid prices, but then you're getting a huge bump on your premium scores that you have because you have the extra premiums, then that's when the extra points are. And I think with this year's rookie crop in the midfield, it's really hard to not just go really midfield heavy with these rookies. At least personally, that's what I'm feeling. I think the forward line picked themselves a little bit. As I said, I don't mind the idea of maybe pushing a Rankin down there sort of thing. But then, I could more or less have a set and forget forward line at that stage with Daniel holding D6 all year maybe. So yeah, I mean, plenty of things to consider, plenty of time left in the season. I'm probably just rambling a little bit too much right now. I'm sure we'll do more as the year goes on. I will now drop a league code for anyone that did actually stick around to the end of this video. I really appreciate all those that did. Last year's leagues, you guys smacked me. Oh, there's a bunch of my videos. Last year's leagues, you guys absolutely smacked me, and yes, I didn't preemptively make this league code because I'm just silly that way. It's just going to be a head-to-head. It's just going to be total points based. And I'll probably add pictures like I did last year. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm pretty lazy. So here's what the league's going to look like. League code is 167555. So come in, join that. Should be good. Yeah, have a hand at me. I don't know if I'll make an open league. I've already made a bunch of leagues I've joined, and yeah, I don't know if I'm going to have many more, but if I make an open league, I'll probably... I mean, we have the super... I think I wasn't going to do it because we already have the Supercoach Hub overall and we have the Podmaster group overall. I'll be in both of those, so just come join those if you want. What is the code for those? Let's click on it. Does it tell me? It doesn't tell me, sorry team. But you know what, come join the Supercoach Hub Discord and we'll be able to tell you what that is. So come join that. Come join the Podmasters one. Yeah, should be good. Yeah, until next time, guys. Peace. Later. I missed the stop button, sorry.